Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a sustainability pro, you know the drill. You're juggling dozens of complex issues, trying to connect them all back to what really matters to investors and the C-suite, financial value. Well, today, we're unpacking a framework that brings some serious order to that chaos, based on the Guide for the Fundamentals of Sustainability Accounting, or FSA credential. Right, so the world of sustainability, it can feel like this huge, sprawling universe of topics, right? Everything's connected, from climate change to supply chain ethics. And for any of us in this field, the big question is always the same. How in the world do we translate all of this sustainability chaos into the clear language of financial impact? So, the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB, came along and said, hey, we need to stop thinking about this as just a long checklist. Their solution? A formal system of classification, a taxonomy. You got to think of it like a shared language, one that's designed from the ground up to analyze the financial side of the sustainability issues that are most likely to hit a company's bottom line. And this new language, it's built on 5 foundational pillars, or what the framework calls dimensions. These 5 areas are how we organize the entire universe of sustainability topics into a structure that actually makes sense. So let's flip open this new sustainability dictionary and check out the 5 main chapters. And here they are. Environment, social capital, human capital, business model and innovation, and finally, leadership and governance. See what I mean? Together, they give us this complete map of a company, covering everything from boots-on-the-ground resource use all the way up to boardroom ethics and strategy. Okay, so those are the 5 pillars. Now, let's build out our vocabulary, our lexicon. Because within each of these dimensions are specific issue categories, and this is where the framework stops being abstract and gets really practical for day-to-day analysis. Let's start with the one everyone thinks of first, the environment dimension. This is all about a company's relationship with the natural world, right? So what resources it takes in and what pollution or waste it puts back out. And a huge one here is, of course, greenhouse gas emissions. Now, the taxonomy gets specific. It focuses on Scope 1 emissions. And what does that mean? It's the stuff a company generates directly from its own operations. Think smokestacks or the trucks in its fleet. So managing this isn't just about counting carbon. It's about getting a handle on direct financial and regulatory risk. Then you've got waste management, but really, you should just think of this as a stand-in for operational efficiency. I mean, every bit of waste, whether it's scrap metal or just paper from the office, represents an inefficiency and a direct cost. So how a company handles its waste tells you a whole lot about its financial discipline. Just think about food waste at your local supermarket. This quote nails it. It's not just a trash problem. It's inventory they paid for, just getting tossed. It's wasted resources, and it's a source of some seriously potent methane emissions. It's a perfect storm of a financial, social, and environmental issue, all rolled into one. Okay, next up we have social capital. And this dimension, it's fundamentally about one thing: relationships. It's all about how a business deals with society, its customers, the communities it operates in, governments, and how it maintains that unwritten but absolutely critical social license to operate. And the currency here really is trust. For big industries like mining or energy, their ability to even do business hinges on keeping good relationships with local and indigenous communities. How they manage their impact on land and culture isn't just a nice-to-have, it's critical to avoiding costly disruptions. And believe me, when those relationships go south, the financial pain is real and it is immediate. This quote about the oil and gas industry points out that it can lead to things like resource nationalism. We're talking surprise taxes, new restrictions, all sorts of things that hit the bottom line hard. You know, another thing this taxonomy does really well is make these crucial distinctions. For instance, it separates customer privacy from data security. Think of it like this. Privacy is the ethical question, why and how you use customer data. Security is the technical defense, the firewall that stops that data from getting stolen. A company can be good at one and terrible at the other, and each failure comes with its own set of financial risks. All right, our third dimension, human capital. This one focuses on what is arguably a company's most valuable asset, its people. We're talking wages, safety, engagement, the whole employee experience. So, an issue like labor practices really gets to the heart of that employer-employee relationship. It tracks how well a company is meeting the basic needs of its workforce. And this isn't just about ethics. It's a huge indicator of operational stability. A workforce that feels mistreated can lead to some very, very expensive disruptions. And this is exactly where you can draw a straight line from something like labor relations directly to financial performance. When you look at metrics like the number of strikes or lockouts, an analyst can actually quantify the risk of production shutting down. It puts a hard financial edge on what some people might dismiss as a soft issue. So, this next dimension, this is where we start looking to the future. It's all about how sustainability gets woven into a company's core strategy, its ability to weather storms, and its pipeline for innovation. This is where sustainability stops being about risk mitigation and starts being about long-term value creation. Business model resilience really just asks one simple question. Is your company actually built to last? And this is a huge deal for industries that are facing massive changes, like the global shift to a low-carbon economy. It's about a company's ability to pivot and thrive, not just barely survive. For an industry like coal, this isn't some far-off risk. It is an existential threat. Those coal reserves they list on their balance sheets, they are at a very real risk of becoming stranded assets, literally stuff that's unburnable and worthless because of climate policy. That can lead to massive asset write-downs that vaporize shareholder value. And this category shifts from that transition risk we were just talking about to physical risk. Here, we're looking at the direct exposure of a company's actual, tangible stuff. Its factories, its warehouses, its supply chain, to things like hurricanes, floods, or wildfires. Is their business ready for a world with more extreme weather? And that brings us to our final dimension, leadership and governance. This covers all the systems of oversight, ethics, and risk management that steer the entire ship. You can think of it as the company's brain and its central nervous system. And a key part of that is preparing for the absolute worst-case scenario. This area assesses how ready a company is to handle those low-probability, high-impact, black swan events that could threaten its very survival. We're talking about major industrial accidents, huge product recalls, stuff like that. I mean, just look at an industry like nuclear power. The stakes do not get any higher. A single critical failure can have immediate and catastrophic financial consequences. It's not just about the cleanup costs. It could lead to the company completely and permanently losing its right to even be in business. So now that we have the words, all those individual issue categories, we can start to explore the syntax. This is the really interesting part. It's how these issues, which might seem separate, actually connect, interact, and create these complex ripple effects in the real world. Because that's the thing, right? In the real world, these issues aren't in neat little boxes. A truly good analysis means you can see the chain reactions, how an environmental event can spark a social crisis, which then exposes a major failure in governance. The Texas energy crisis a few years back is a textbook example. It all started with a climate event. That's physical risk. That storm then exposed a massive lack of business model resilience in the energy grid, and that failure cascaded into a huge social crisis around access and affordability. That's a perfect illustration of how these dimensions are all tangled together. So after all that, why does mastering this taxonomy really matter? What's the point of learning this whole new language of sustainability? Well, it's about getting past these vague, subjective labels like good or bad. This framework gives us a practical, tough, rigorous tool for analysis. It's designed to forge a clear, defensible connection between how a company handles sustainability and its actual, real-world financial results. In the end, by creating this common language, the taxonomy allows for a much more sophisticated, more nuanced, and, frankly, more financially grounded conversation between companies and their investors. It gives us a foundation to truly integrate sustainability into how we think about long-term value. So the question it really leaves us with is this: how will you use this shared language to change the way you analyze value?